JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Tuesday, February 3rd, 3:32 on this fine afternoon. Talk really quick about the market, some names I'm looking at, and go from there. S&P's dealt with the spies exactly 1% to the downside here. Apologies for this morning. Had some snafus at the open, and then just didn't get a chance to get on the audio. But what a session here, giving back yesterday's and the day before. Well, actually, I'm trying to think. 3 days of gains. Well, 3 sessions is the last time we were at these levels. No major news or catalyst. It's funny because you try and search for things. At the open, you could see the software names were. It seemed like okay, we're back in sell mode after having somewhat a little bounce Friday and Monday. Well, not really Friday, but yesterday, and then boom, back in sell mode. And outside of that, it's like what was it? And then earlier today, you have the reports out that the U.S. and Iran tensions are high again. They're sending an armada last week, and then you have reports out the U.S. shot down a drone. So at 12:45, one of the news feeds comes out and says the indexes are trading lower after reports suggested U.S. shut down an Iranian drone. I'm like, at the time, the markets were already at the lows. So it's kind of complicated today. People frantically trying to figure out why the market's selling off. I think it's more just it's like a revaluation of the software sector, and then you have collateral damage, and that combined with what's going on with commodities and gold and silver, and then you kind of, I guess you mix in a little bit of. Hold on a second here. Sorry. So you kind of the geopolitical thing. You mix all the other stuff together too. The geopolitical stuff, the government shutdown, right? I mean, usually the government shutdown we rally on but this time we decide, hey, we're going to sell off. But that's kind of what it looks like today. It's unfortunate. I was talking about Adobe back in the summer. Do I have my charts up? Of course, I don't have my charts up here. I think I do. Yeah. So back in Adobe, back in the August, you can see my little box chart, right? Because Adobe's chopping around, and I'm like, Adobe's going to take it on the chin. It's not. Sometimes the easiest trade it becomes the hardest, right? I mean, it's easy to see a lot of what you can do with AI is going to take over what Adobe does and some of their products and services. Very easy to see that, right? And some of the thing is with some of these big companies, especially the software names, the mega cap names, they have large contracts with customers. And a lot of them are yearly contracts, or whatever. So a lot of disruption from AI is not going to be seen for a long time. So it's just a matter. It's not a matter of if, it's when, and then how do these companies react? And some have already worked out deals with OpenAI and whatever. But it's just funny. It's like, okay, today and this week is when they decided. And Intuit, right, is another name. Intuit back last year, I was talking about it with TurboTax and stuff at start of 2025. But then other things that they do, right? Easily, if you're a front office manager, whatever, a small business, the AI can do a lot of things now that you couldn't do in the past. And so doesn't mean that some of these names should be sold. I mean, I look at Shopify and I kind of almost, I shouldn't say it's comical, but I'm like, how do you transfer that? What they do to create a marketplace and all the different widgets and things that are interwoven in their platform, the all the different things that have been developed over years. It's not like I don't think someone could just create it via AI. So to me, a C name like that, just like collateral damage. And you have a lot of folks who are in sectors, so they pull out of IGV or whatever that ETF is for their software, whatever. So it's a whole function of all these different aspects. So I don't think you can just put your finger on one different event today and say, okay, this is why the market sold off. I think it's all of it. And I say it sold off, but then I have my chart here. Walmart, first $1 trillion retailer. Right? Gosh, I remember back in the day when Amazon was back, in the limelight, and everybody thought that Walmart was going to control, Amazon was going to kill all these brick and mortars, and here's Walmart surviving and probably better position than it's ever been. So, not saying I missed this one because Walmart moves like a snail, right? Except for the last 3 days where it's moved $10. But even that, in regards to historical moves for Walmart, not a big move. But anyway, I sit here and I always try to take things with a grain of salt and be somewhat optimistic. Today, I'm trying to look for put hedges. Typically, especially at the open, I have my spot 693, 680 on the SPY, 686. And once you start breaking 680, 86 on the SPY, I'm trying to find some put hedges. And just tough. The names that I normally look at were kind of flatlining, even though they were already down 2%. And then the other names, the premiums just too expensive, even to warrant, unless you think there's going to be some crazy monster pull down to 675 by the end of the week. And maybe there is, right? I'd rather just look for possible call opportunities, save some capital there. And it's not like I'm loaded to the boat on call positions. And the ones I'm in, and this is how it's kind of been for the last couple of weeks and months, I've scaled some of them out. So Hey, we'll see how tomorrow, what goes on tomorrow. AMD reports after the close. Tomorrow's the big day for me. Google reports. I think if there's any name that's going to give market direction for the rest of the week, it's going to be it. And people are going to look it over for all different areas of, the AI side, CapEx spend. Even if you can look at search, when people are looking to cut back on spend, first thing they do is cut down on advertising. So, all right, so that's overall market. So we'll see what happens here. 688 right now on the SPY. Hopefully, we just get a close over 686, and we can get back to maybe some consolidation tomorrow. If not, if things resume, then you got to worry about some oh crap puts, oh crap situations, right? So I pull up service now. So I got those spec lottos yesterday for the bounce. At some point, you look and it's pinching. It's going to have a monster bounce, right? So watching for a bounce last week, got those spec lottos. Yesterday, locked some in to cover some of the costs. And then it was 120 overnight, 118, and then you could just see it sell off in the morning. And, here's that 100, it's been cut in half pretty much since September. And this is not a, $5 billion company. So, at some point I'd be looking, and then into it, which I don't have it, just destroyed. So do we get oh crap puts, and is ServiceNow going to be an $80 stock? I don't think that's going to be the case. Is Intuit going to go down to $300? I don't know. Uh, so that's kind of overall market. So just be watching for follow through. Oh, here's Adobe. I have it already. All right. So just quick on individual names. Finally, in the afternoon, I was nibbling. So it started today. Serve Robotics, Solar Edge, and RH, and there were other names I was watching, but Serve Robotics. It's going to have another one of those 3, 4, 5 session monster rallies, right? So I tried to do it last week. Thankfully, exited calls for some profits, and then boom, finally back in some strikes. Here it is, all the way up to 1070 when I got. I think maybe it was 1065 when I got the calls. Then dropped all the way down. I'm like worried is going to go back down to 975. Got close, and here it is. It's up 3.4% now, up at 1070. Hey, if we have a green day tomorrow, I could see it starting to catch some fire again. So similarly, what I've been doing, lock calls in on the way up. So if when those turn green, I'll lock some in to cover cost and ride the rest. Other names, right? So Solar Edge. So you have Enphase. Is it Enphase? Enphase. That whole energy, battery, renewable energy sector. It's like I look at some of these names in the Solar Edge and the Enphase. And Enphase I've never traded. I don't know if I've never, but I've watched that one just drip to death. And it's heavily followed name, more so than Solar Edge. And it's like one of these days it's going to have some crazy earnings. So I'm looking earlier today, and the calls, despite the stock, let's see if it is now, is up 2%. So the calls obviously should be green, but it was flat before, and all the calls were up 25, 30%. So like you can go to next week. Let's go to February 20th strikes on Enphase. And one of these days I'll share the screen. The $50 calls are 31 by 44. So it's $13 out of money, but they're all up 25, 30%. And the stock's up 1.9% right now. So I don't know if it's implied volatility, if it's going up because of the call volume. 27,000 calls, 13,000 puts. I don't think that's all of it. Maybe it is, but definitely one to watch. The thing is, if that has great earnings, it might carry over into Solar Edge, and Solar Edge calls look inexpensive. Then at the same token, it's a volatile name, right? So you can make the case that maybe it's enough to pressure Solar Edge back into the mid 20s. So I'll probably just sit on my hands. But ones I'll be watching it to tomorrow. Align Technologies, always watching that one for earnings. They report after the close tomorrow. So here it is, 200-day moving average. The thing is expensive calls, right? Premiums are expensive, but I've seen this every single quarter. It does this. You can get some 205 calls, and then by the end of the day, they're double just because of people looking to get some positions or hedge themselves. The premiums just explode end of day. So don't be surprised if I get those. I was watching RH today, all the way up to 214. I don't know if it was waiting on tariff news. I have no idea. And then boom, gave back all the gains. It's almost flat right now. Another name I'll be watching tomorrow to the end of the week. Disappointing, right? So, GameStop yesterday, it's like 2 different days. Remarkable. This time yesterday, GameStop's knocking on the door, $26. Looks like it's off to the races. And then today, no news, no catalyst, nothing's changed besides Bitcoin selling off. And boom, down here at 24. But the funny thing is, Bitcoin could go up 5% tomorrow, and GameStop won't do anything. But if Bitcoin sells off, GameStop, that's the reason it sold off. So riddle me that, Joker. I think that's about it. Just similar to some of these sell-offs over the last couple of weeks. It's like when we have pullbacks in the market, and I look at my watch list, more than half my watch list it's in the green. So I keep looking at Impinji, PI. They report, I don't know if it's Thursday, sitting here 154. such a great story. And I don't, there was, it fell back at the start of the year or mid-January because there was, I guess, a report out. There was some kind of read through some other name that reported earnings that possibly speaks to some slowdown in PI's business. I don't know if that's the case. If it is, okay, maybe the stock's not going to do much for earnings, but if not, boom, that thing's going to go 180, 100, 180, 190. The unfortunate thing is it's in here 154. The unfortunate thing is the premiums and the strikes are tough. It's only monthly strikes. So anyway, all right, let's have a great day, folks. I'll be back on audio later. Apologize for this morning. I'll be back on audio tomorrow. Rock and roll.